You've been trying harder to finish this book than you've tried at almost anything else in your life. You've taken writing courses, you've bought planners, you've prayed about it, you set goals every January for the last 10 years, and the book is in the exact same place it was 3 years ago. The harder you've tried alone, the slower the book has moved. Both of these things are true at the same time, and there's a reason. There's one variable in your writing life that you've never tested, and it's the one that changes everything. It's not a new course, it's not a better planner, and it's not waking up earlier. Give me the next few minutes, and I'll show you what it is and what that version of your life looks like on the other side of it. I built a restart toolkit for the moments when you're trying to come back to your book alone. The 3 rules of restarting, the re-entry steps, and the prayer that goes along with them, all in one short PDF. Drop the word restart in the comments and I'll send it to you. My name is Shelley Hitz. Along with my husband CJ, I'm the founder of Christian Book Academy, a membership where we help writers to finally take a step of faith and finish their books. Since 2010, we've helped over 1,000 writers overcome self-doubt and become published authors. We've published more than 70 books of our own, and we've reached almost 1 million readers worldwide. Our writers often call us pastors for writers, and in this video, you'll get one thing you can immediately use. Here's the paradox I see for almost every kingdom writer who's been stuck for more than a year. They're the most determined writer in their life. Maybe they've raised kids, they got through their mom's diagnosis, they led a retreat. Maybe they're the one their family calls on when something hard has to be done. So they're not quitters. And yet the book they feel called to write a decade ago is in the same documents folder on the same chapter with the same sentence at the bottom that you wrote in 2022. So one of our Christian Book Academy members, Kathy Blossom, knew exactly what her book was about. She had the message, she had the calling, and then she had 20 years of trying to write it alone with nothing to show but a devotional still living in her head and a growing sense that she had somehow failed God. And that's when she found our membership, Christian Book Academy, and now she's a published author and has fulfilled that lifelong dream of over 20 years. But does any of her stories sound familiar? Maybe you've just added another writing book to your nightstand, or you've signed up for another course. Maybe you thought, maybe I'll try this different planner this quarter. Maybe it'll be different. Or you've been listening to a different podcast about productivity and writing, and you've been treating this like a problem you can solve with more information, more strategy, more discipline, or more willpower. But honestly, you've been the smartest, most resourced version of a stuck person that could ever be, because the missing piece isn't inside you, it's around you. You probably don't have an information problem, and you don't have a skill problem. Honestly, I don't even think you have a time problem. The thing that may have been slowing you down isn't even a writing problem. It's an isolation problem. And isolation is the one thing that doesn't get solved by trying harder. So it's Tuesday morning, and you're sitting at your kitchen table with your coffee or your tea and your manuscript, and you write for 15 minutes. You close the laptop. Nobody in your life even knows you sat down to write today. But that's the part you don't talk about, not the writing, but being alone with the writing. And I started noticing a pattern after years of watching writers come through our community. The kingdom writers who finally finished weren't necessarily the most talented or skilled or disciplined, or even the ones with the most time. They were almost always the ones who stopped carrying the manuscript alone and found at least one other person who knew they were writing to hold them accountable and encourage them along the way. So here's what's actually been happening. The book doesn't get finished by the version of you who tries harder. It gets finished by the version of you who stops doing it alone. I want you to picture the next 12 months. You join a room of kingdom writers writing books alongside of you in the same season of life. You meet weekly. Someone knows you. They know your message, and they text you when you go quiet. By April, you have a chapter done. By July, 3 chapters. By December, you're holding a book in your hands. The book you've been carrying for a decade is now sitting on your kitchen table, finished with your name on the cover. Your husband picks it up and reads the dedication, or your grandkids see it on the shelf. Someone at your church texts you to say their sister needed exactly what you wrote because they purchased a copy for her. The difference between where you are now and that version isn't effort. It's that somebody finally knows whether you wrote this week or not. You got the accountability to get it done. So here's the part I really want you to hear. You've been writing this book the same way you've done everything else, by being the one who carries it alone. And it's the one thing in your life that won't get carried alone. You weren't created to do this by yourself. And the book wasn't created to be written alone either. The people in Scripture who carried hard, world-shifting callings almost never carried them alone. They had a community around them. Think about Moses. He had Aaron. Deborah had Barak. Esther had Mordecai. Paul had Timothy. The pattern is older than productivity culture itself. Now, I know what you're thinking. You may think, well, I've tried writing groups. They weren't for me. And I hear you. The room I'm talking about is not a generic writing group. It's called a progress pod of kingdom writers that are in the same season, working on the same kind of book, who meet together every week, maybe it's a Tuesday morning, and pray for each other when one of them goes quiet or gets stuck. That's not group dynamics, it's covenant. And this works because isolation has been the variable you've not adjusted. You've adjusted your schedule, your planner, your prayer life, your morning routine, your goals, but you've never adjusted whether you're carrying this book alone. You can begin this on your own. Just find one other kingdom writer in your life and ask them if they check in with you each week. That's the path that you can take, and it totally works. I've seen people do this for years. But the other path is doing it inside of a community where progress pods are already built. You can get matched to others that are able to meet at the same time frame. They're all writing books with you, and they've agreed to walk this road with you. The community path tends to be faster because you don't have to build the room. You just have to walk into it. And honestly, progress pods were one of the best things we ever added into Christian Book Academy, and our members love them. And so I hope that you consider how you can get community in your life while you're writing your book. Drop the word restart in the comments, and I'll send you the Restart Toolkit for free. So you can take the first step today. Pick up your phone, text one writer that you know in your life, and tell them you would like to get some accountability and see if they'll check in with you once a week. Even if it's just a few minutes, that's a start. But here's what I want you to hear. The reason this book has been so hard to finish for so long isn't that you've been weak. It's not that you don't know what to do. It's just that you've been carrying it by yourself, alone. Writing is so isolating. Nobody was built for that. The version of you that holds the book in your hands 12 months from now isn't more disciplined than the writer watching this video right now. You're the same writer, just in a different room with people who know your name. We'd love to have you in Christian Book Academy to join us in our community of kingdom writers. Drop the word restart in the comments, and I'll send you our free Restart Toolkit. And then text one person that you know that could maybe even walk this road with you, and you can even start that accountability before you close your phone tonight.